First of all, want to get your take on why is it that the national media seems to continue to really push this narrative that Juan Soto's coming to the Cardinals, and yet almost everybody in the local media thinks it's a really bad idea?
Well, I guess they take the perspective that Washington would want a bunch of top prospects for him, and the Cardinals have a bunch of top prospects. However, anyone who watched last night's game or a few other ones recently should be aware that the right field is not necessarily the Cardinals' biggest problem right now. They have to get somebody out. I bet last night they got drubbed. They got drubbed the other day in Cincinnati. A number one pitcher. They may not have a number two pitcher. Maybe Wainwright and Michaelis are in that group. I don't know, but they're certainly on Walls. And how are they going to beat anybody in the 3-game series without pitching help? They got to have a three or better to have any chance to go anywhere in the postseason. They don't have enough. And the Mats looked fabulous the other day. I mean, just really, really good. And now he's out. Flaherty used to be really, really good. We don't know what to say for him, except he's not even eligible to pitch for them till late August, and it could be too late then. And Palante is not a starter.
No.
Hudson is, we don't know, and there you have it.
So, do you think there is a starter available that could give you what's left? 10 starts, maybe? Is it that many?
Well, I'd say it's more. You have more than 60 games remaining, so that would be 12 starts.
Yeah,
anyway,
12 starts. So do you think a number one guy, I guess we're looking at the kid in Cincinnati, Luis Castillo, but other than him, it's hard to find somebody that fits that profile.
Well, I like Madison Bumgarner a lot, but he costs a lot of money. He's signed,
but he's not a number 1 or a 2.
Well, we could use a 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He'd be a 2 for this team. He pitched another strong game the other day. He pitched 8 innings. Nobody pitches 8 innings here except Wainwright once in a while, and then Michaelis once in a while too, I guess, but not very often.
Plus, he's only 32, and you'd have him for 2 more years after this year. You'd have him for 3 pennant races. I like him as a 3.
You also have him for $24 million next year and $14 the year after, and whatever's left this year. You'd have to hope Arizona would kick in some money there.
Yeah, but my response is, why would we care about the amount of money in the DeWitt's grandchildren's trust fund? All right, they have the money. There's no, I don't know. All right,
well,
go ahead.
You have to pay. I mean, I like Castillo a lot. I'd even take Tyler Mahle off their hands.
Yeah,
in Cincinnati, he'd be an addition. They just need somebody better than some of the guys that are running out there. I mean, what happens now? They don't even have a 5th starter. They barely have a 4th starter. I mean, the 4th starter went 4 innings last night. He pitched really well the last 2, and really poorly the first 2.
Okay, so the story is with the Marlins, they're not trading, of course, Sandy Alcantara, but Pablo Lopez is on the block, and Lopez was insanely good again last night. He's 29. I think you'd have him for 2, maybe 3 more pennant races. I think it's 2 more years after this. Okay, so here's the question. So we can't just throw out a name without saying who we give up. If you got a 29-year-old number 2 starter, who knows, he may be your best starter, would you give up Dylan Carlson for him?
I would not.
No.
Who would you give up?
I rarely trade a position player for a pitcher even up.
Okay. So what's your package for Lopez?
I think they would want to have somebody like Burleson more than Carlson, because Burleson won't cost him any money. Carlson's going to cost him money eventually. Not yet. But
and who else?
Well, you might have to throw in a young pitcher there. They have to have
a good pitcher like McGreevy.
Can't score at all.
Yeah.
No. I think Graceffo and McGreevy are probably off my list of trading guys.
Mm-hmm.
But Burleson doesn't seem to fit here, or he'd be here. They have a lot of outfielders who are also DHs, including Yepes, who was hurt. And,
What are you hearing? What are the Cardinals, Rick? What are the Cardinals saying about Burleson, whose numbers are completely off the charts? And the only thing I can figure, well, it's one of two things: either they don't think he's as good as his numbers, and it may not, something about his swing won't translate to the big leagues. I don't think that's the answer. Or two, it has to do with service time and 40-man roster and all those kinds of things.
Well, I mean, it'd be worth a look, wouldn't it? Yeah,
I think so.
Are pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have trouble scoring runs when they have all their guys back. Now, a move I would make, and I am flabbergasted as to why it hasn't been made. How long are you going to keep Paul DeJong under a rock in Memphis? He's 15 and 52 now. He's hitting 244, which is not great, but he was hitting like 044 for the first couple, 3 weeks when he was down there.
Mm-hmm.
Gorman's 3 for 38 or something like this, 3 for 40. I don't advocate sending Gorman down forever, but I would advocate making that move now. Let DeJong play. Even today, I would make that move to get DeJong up there to play 3 or 4 games in the big league, so everybody else can see him too. Now going to Toronto would be tough. It would have to be just 3 games. You just have to go to Washington, but
I agree with you.
Help your club.
Yep.
How many teams got guys making $6 million, hitting 15 home runs in the minors, are still in the minors?
And by the way, I'm sorry, Frank, but by the way, Rick, to support your point, I'd bring him up even if I'm not playing him every day. Even if he's only playing against left-handers, I'd still bring him up. I think his long-term future as a big leaguer is as a utility guy anyway.
You're probably right. I asked Ali Marmol about this the other day, and he said, yeah, he'd like to have him, but he needed to play every day. He said, I don't think he would, he's a rhythm-type player. It wouldn't do any good to have him sit for 4 or 5 days. But your point is well taken. He could play now and be a utility guy in the future. I mean, Brendan Donovan's a utility guy. He's going to have 450 bats when the year is over.
That's right. And Sosa needs to play every day at AAA to get his swing back. He's swinging from his butt every time. Yeah, and it's great when he makes contact, but he's a struggle right now.
Yeah, he's an exciting player.
Yeah,
he runs well, and he fields well. He fields. He makes acrobatic plays. Let's put it that way. And he has some power, but he doesn't play often enough to put any kind of average together. And as you say, especially in Cincinnati, he was trying to hit the boat out in center field there, which is pretty high, away from the field.
Back to Lopez just for a moment. By the way, it was 11 strikeouts and 7 innings last night. The ERA is 3.03. The WHIP is 1.0. How about, you guys brought up DeJong? What about DeJong and Burleson for Lopez? You think that would entice Miami? Because I would do that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
It might entice Miami. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me nervous to give 2 position players for one pitcher, but.
But I mean, look, it's not like there's any starting pitching coming back next season. We're going to rely on Jack Flaherty, a 42-year-old Adam Wainwright. No chance. Well, you have to have a number 2 starter for next.
Yeah, Matz for next season. You should have Michaelis should be for next, and Hud should be fine for next season. I think we'll see Graceffo and Grieve win the bigs the next season too. But you want to talk about the start of the season. Burleson's got it intrigues me. I see him playing spring training, and early on, he was kind of overmatched because he had never. I mean, last year was really his first pro year.
Yeah,
and he went from 3 levels last year, so he was overmatched early in spring training. He did better toward the end. Has been consistent all year long for Memphis. You kind of think, boy, they're really gun shy about giving up guys like that after what happened with Rosarena, who's not nearly the hitter this guy could be, but Rosarena is a better fielder. This guy's a DH who can play left and maybe right field. But the DH, you have a DH. And next year you won't have 2 DHs the Cardinals have now in Pujols and Dickerson.
So if by next Tuesday at 5 o'clock you have in your starting rotation Madison Bumgarner and Jake Odorizzi, would that be enough to win the division?
Yeah. Which other 3 are you going with then? Wainwright, Michaelis, and
Hudson.
Hudson. Okay, That'd be enough. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Odorizzi is like a young Matt Morris, but he'd be one of your 5 best pitchers, correct?
Sure. He's been among the best pitchers in the league there for a couple of years, American League. And Bumgarner and Wayne, they would feed off each other. Michaelis too. You'd be going for it this year, although you're Bumgarner for another year after that. Like you say, he's only 32 years old. I guess people remember him pitching so long ago because he did, but he was also 20 years old when he was doing that.
Yeah.
He's been around a long time. He's just not that old. And I'd now what would it cost is the question.
Yeah, let's put together your Madison Bumgarner trade, keeping in mind, the salary. That's a big factor here. $25 million next year, $14 million the year after. What would you have to give Arizona? Not much, right?
Probably not. I think I would trade Yepez, but he's hurt right now. That makes that a little more dicey. He's not hurt badly, but he's not able to play right now. I guess you have to count Burleson in there, but I'd like to see him play in the big leagues before I traded him. But Yepez would be at the top of my list, I think, for trading guys.
But if I'm Arizona, I want a young pitcher back. I want one of your minor league guys, Liberatore, one of those guys.
Well, I would trade Liberatore.
Yeah, me too.
I've seen enough of him to think that he might be a good major league pitcher, and he might not be.
Yeah, I think this is really unfair to him, but do you think a comp is, in Seattle, Marco Gonzalez? Do you think that's a reasonable comp, or is it too soon to make those kind of comparisons?
I think it's not, because Marco Gonzalez is not a terribly hard throw either.
Yeah.
So, he had a great changeup, good breaking ball, and took him a while to find his footing.
And he's solid, but not great.
Didn't seem to give him that chance.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big comparison there. And if you trade him and it doesn't work out, well, that's the way it goes. But the Cardinals have always contended, and they all look at now besides the future. And Bumgarner would be a big now for a couple years. So I put him in that deal, yeah.
What if the Reds say, okay, I know we're not supposed to trade within the division, but we're actually going to make a trade that's going to help our team the most, and the Cardinals are offering us the most. We're going to make this move. Now, he's the best pitcher out there. What would that package look like to get Luis Castillo?
Well, they would have to get young pitching, and so Liberatore would have to be in that one, too.
Okay, so that's one, and then who are your other 3? Or 2? Who else? I mean, look, Matthew Liberatore's trade value is probably not great, and this is the best pitcher available. So who else are you giving so we don't make this a 1970s KMO Exports open line trade?
Well, maybe another, Castillo is he a free agent at the end of the year?
No, I think he's got one more year. Double check that.
Okay, well, that makes a little bit of a difference. I would try to keep McGreevy and Graceffo out of this conversation. The Reds lineup isn't very good either, so they might be able to use Yepez or somebody like that.
Yepez or Burleson, yeah.
So Yepez, Liberatore. Wait a minute, just 2 Yepez and Liberatore for one of the better pitchers in the National League, who's going to be with your club next year?
Well, he's also making a lot of money, and these other 2 guys don't make any money. I'd start with that.
See, if I'm the Reds, I'd say if I'm the Reds, Rick, I'd say Liberatore and Gorman.
Well,
and I would do that. Interesting, the 2 best friends both leaving the organization at the same time. Yeah,
they're both. You can't put like a DeYoung in a trade like that because he makes too much money. But Gorman doesn't make any money either right now. So,
and they're going to move Drury. They're looking for a third baseman. They will be.
Well, he can play third base for them, sure.
Of course.
And that's not a bad deal. I mean, you get Castillo for a year plus, and maybe he'd like it here enough. He'd stay on after that. I would think he would like it enough. Now, whether he would, the money's something else. But that's a good. That's not a bad combination of players there. I kind of like that. And
Joe, call the Reds. Get the Reds on the horn.
Yeah,
let's get this.
See, that's a realistic trade. That's throwing a really good prospect like Gorman in there. That's realistic for a great pitcher. That's good. All right, now, Rick, what do you think the Nationals have actually asked from the Cardinals for Juan Soto? Even though I don't think it's going to happen, but just tell me how hefty their demands are.
I suspect that Gorman is in there. I suspect that Graceffo or McGreevy would be in there.
That's two.
Maybe Burleson.
Three. And then Jordan Walker's got to be in there, right?
I think he's off the table.
Well, I mean, you said, did they ask? Maybe they can ask about that, but Jordan Walker is not going to be in any package. You know, there'll be a front office sweep if that would happen, I think. He's your guy. Yeah, almost kind of wonder, is Jordan Walker ready for the big leagues next year? I don't know that. Maybe he is.
As a left fielder, or not? Maybe, I don't know what position, but not a third baseman.
No, not unless Arenado would leave.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't think he's going to.
All right, that's a great lead into this one. So, and Bernie has speculated about this too, that it's been a little bit of a chaotic situation with Cabrera spiking the ball, Yachty going AWOL, not acquiring much pitching here so far. What do you think the chances are that Nolan Arenado says, okay, I am going to go to L.A., or wait a minute, I'm making $35 million to play at Busch Stadium. I'm going to stay in this contract. What do you think?
I think it would, if they win the division, I think he would feel quite good about staying. If they make the playoffs, I think he would feel pretty good about staying. If they don't make the playoffs, I think you're into a 50-50 proposition then. And he's thinking, well, hold on now. They didn't bring any pitching in. Because if they don't make the playoffs, it means their pitching hasn't been good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be hard-pressed to see how they can miss the playoffs, except that, 4 games over 500 is not exactly a record you're proud of here. And the Phillies are still right there, and so are the Giants. But I think if they make the division, they win a division title, I think he would stay. And I've got he'd make the playoffs. But that possibility exists. He could leave. And then you'd have, Jordan Walker's your third baseman, then maybe into next season. I don't know if I'd make him the third baseman at the start of the season.
Yeah, and the thing is,
you still have Gorman theoretically then. Yeah.
And the thing is, despite what he'd be owed by his current contract moving forward, I really can't blame a guy for looking to see what else is out there. I couldn't blame him a bit.
No, you're right. I do think he's actually very happy here.
Yeah,
and it would take some sort of team fall off for him to wonder, well, do I want to commit 5 more years to this operation? I think he can see the prospects that are coming up. He sees them in the spring, and he can keep track of them during the season. This is going to be a good team for a long time. Now, It does need some fixing right now. I'm not ready to look at next year yet, and neither are they. So they have to get this other stuff fixed immediately. And if it costs them a couple guys, yeah. But I think he'd play for a team he thinks can be a winner for 4 or 5 years.
Okay, 2 controversial topics. Your take on Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt deciding, I don't want to put the vaccine in my body. I'm going to sit this 2-game series out. Your reaction to that?
And they're entitled to feel that way. Does it? I mean, people talk about, well, does it fracture the clubhouse? So what do the players think about that? Let's think about this. What if those guys weren't here? Their record's 30-70. so I think they've done enough.
Yeah.
I mean, and would they have knocked in 8 runs between them last night? I don't know. Probably not.
It's a good bet.
And Yachty or Molina not.
This is a true game. This isn't like 2 weeks they're taking off. It's
kind of broke up there.
And they play every day.
All right, and then Yachty or Molina not with the team and watching Puerto Rican basketball players.
Well, they kind of drew a line in the sand there that Yachty could do whatever he wanted to do, so he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yachty actually owns the team, I believe, down there, so that he has a vested interest.
So he can look across the table to the Cardinals ownership eye to eye. Yeah, I own a team too. I know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, he's given them 19 seasons here. I think he was really depressed at how poorly he was playing, besides the fact that his knee hurt. And what kind of shape he returns in is almost doesn't make any difference. He's still better than what they have. Herrera, Kisner, Romine, any of them. I mean, just throw him out there and get whatever you can from him. It isn't like you're going to ruin his career by playing him on a bad knee. His career is almost over. As long as he can go, he plays, and he's better than what they have.
Yeah.
So and he bats. I don't know if I'd bat him ninth, eighth certainly, not ninth. But
I agree.
I think I'm not disturbed by the fact he was there. It was a long time, but if he was indeed working on his knee, if he did indeed have doctors, monitoring his progress, which is, it's questionable now, but it isn't like he was in Russia now. He was in Puerto Rico. They belong to the United States also.
Final thought. So what do you think, look into your crystal ball, what do you think will happen trade deadline day? Be specific, please.
Well, I think they'll have probably one starting pitcher and one relief pitcher acquired. I'd like to think Bumgarner would be one of the starters. The relievers, it's kind of hard to tell, but I think a little bit short of left-handed relievers. I'm disappointed in Cabrera, actually. That's where I think their lack is. They're kind of hesitant to use him in big situations right now because he hasn't been very good. So they got to get somebody like that, too, somebody who can get left-handed hitters out and get strikeouts. So those two positions are the ones they have to fill. Let's say Baumgartner is one of them, and the reliever, I don't even know. But anybody that can give you 3 outs and get left-handers out is what would be their prime acquisition. But they'd have to give up something to get a starter, and maybe not much to get a left-handed reliever because those guys are always bouncing around.
And then again, one more time, I know you said it earlier. Why is Bumgarner the right fit for the Cardinals at this stage?
He's pitching great. His ERA is just right above 3, and he's 32. There's no questioning his ability to pitch in the postseason. He's for 1 year, he's the best pitcher ever in the postseason. It was some time ago, but and he's not hurt. Mm-hmm. His health is good. He's been hurt in other years, as have most pitchers, but he's fine, and he's left-handed. They have no left-handed presence at all in their rotation now that Matz is hurt. And it'd be even better if they didn't have the DH and you'd have Bumgarner and Wainwright and Michaelis all able to hit. It's different.
Yeah.
Although I would say where they can DH for the catcher and let the pitchers bat.
That's funny.
And Rick, are we winding down your Hall of Fame career too? This is going to be it's not the end, but you're cutting back dramatically, or what? Can you give us a little news here, or what?
Well, I'm not sure what I can tell you. I haven't worked out the particulars on this with the editors and so forth. But I'd like to not be on a full-time basis after this year. I'd like to still be involved very much as a part-timer. And those details, I'm not holding anything back here. I don't know what those are or what those could be, logistically.
Well, maybe Rick, maybe you just cover the team when Wainwright pitches, and then take 6 weeks off in the middle of next summer.
I like that. That.
There you go.
So I'm still available for radio consultation, of course. But
of course,
you'll always have a spot here, Rick. It's an honor to have you on, and I love listening to you. I've been listening to you since KMOX Sports Open Line days. So,
well, thanks, guys. It was fun to be on with you guys. That's quite a pair there.
You're the best, Commish. We'll talk soon. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, pal.
Okay, guys. Thank you.